like the average in Penedès, it's around 50% average lower than a normal year. And at Parés Baltà, that we grow organically and biodynamically without any chemicals in the vineyards, our yields were like down 70-75%.
Welcome to the Second Sip Podcast. I'm your host, Amy Watson. On today's episode, I will have Joan Cusiné from Parés Baltà as my guest. Parés Baltà is a family-owned winery in the Penedès wine region of Spain. Its origins go back to 1790. Joan and his brother Josep are part of the third generation working in the winery, which uses biodynamic methods. Fun side note, the two enologists of the winery are Joan and Josep's wives, Marta Casas and Maria Elena Jimenez, two women in a male-dominated field. Okay, back to Joan. He usually spends part of his fall in Montreal attending the Grande Dégustation and getting people to taste his family's wines. In 2019, there were 267 exhibitors and more than 1,500 products to taste at the Grande Dégustation. But this year, it went virtual, and there were about 1,000 attendees versus 2018's 13,000 visitors. So, Juan was part of a webinar of Spanish and South American producers where he presented his family's wines live from their wine cave, which is where I'm hoping he'll be for this 5 à 7 chat today. But first, a little more about Parés Baltà. It's a pretty popular brand in Quebec. The Cava Brut, which retails for $16.95 at the SRQ, is a steal for biodynamic sparkling wine and often pops up at holiday or New Year's Eve parties, or at least it did before COVID. With large gatherings most likely canceled this holiday season, Juan and his family have their work cut out for them. Because how do you market bubbles when people aren't celebrating? Here to virtually taste some of his wine and spend a gloomy Montreal afternoon with me is Joan Cusiné. Welcome to the 5 à 7 podcast. Juan, thanks so much for joining me today. Where are you, by the way?
I am right now in the winery, in Parés Baltà winery, that it's in our tasting room, that it's just next to our barrel room here in Pacs del Penedès, 50 kilometers southwest of Barcelona.
Okay, so we're going to taste a couple wines today, but before we start that, normally I start with the drink, but because the point here is to taste a couple wines, maybe I can just ask a few quick questions because we've never met before, so we'll do a little lightning round, and then we'll pop something beautiful. Okay, so you produce Cava. Cava that you make is the méthode champenoise, which means 2 fermentations and in bottle, the second fermentation.
Correct.
So do you prefer still or sparkling wines in general? I know it's a tough one.
Well, I drink both.
And you make both too, so.
And we make both, yes. It depends on the situation, on the celebration, on the company that I'm with, on the season as well. But especially Cava and bubbles, good bubbles, you can enjoy them all year round.
Okay, I figured that might be your answer. Do you have a favorite grape? Is it Xarel-lo, for example, or?
Well, I have to say that Xarel-lo, Garnacha are some of the favorite ones. But here at Parés Baltà, we work with 16, and there are other grapes that we don't work that I also like a lot. But from the ones that I am on the more close to them, I would say that Grenache and Xarel-lo.
Okay, that's fair. It's like you chose your 2 favorite children, so that's wonderful. What's the weirdest food pairing for Cava? You said it goes with anything, but what works like strangely well?
Extremely well. Extremely well. Here in Catalonia, in Barcelona area, we enjoy Cava in a normal conditions, not with the pandemic that we are right now, but usually we can enjoy them with any aperitif starting and many people in our area, in Barcelona area. You have to think that that's Barcelona. If you go to Madrid or Seville, it's like another way of enjoying life. We enjoy Cava, could be with just a glass or with the food and enjoying a full dining or lunch experience with Cava, from a starter, main aperitif, right. A starter, main course, dessert.
Is there something weird that pairs really well with Cava? Something you wouldn't expect?
Well, for instance, jamón ibérico.
Yes, but I mean, that's not a weird pairing, no? That would be pretty normal because you have the saltiness, so kind of the bubbles would cut through the richness. What's something bizarre?
That's about bizarre.
Maybe the weirdest thing you've ever drank Cava with.
Now you are difficult to say.
Well, you can think about it. Maybe we'll come back later.
Yes.
Okay. If you could have any bottle of wine in the whole world, what would it be?
To be in isolated place or just
any situation, just your dream bottle. Either you're in your cellar or you're won an award or you're traveling with your wife or something, anything.
Well, that would be probably a sparkling bottle, some bubbles, some Cava bubbles.
Is there one in particular?
Well, in my case, it's just the one that we will be tasting later, Joan Cusiné.
How convenient. Good choice.
Well, it's a lot of emotions and feelings behind it.
Okay, well, you have to tell me the story of that later then.
With pleasure.
What's your dream vacation spot?
You know, here, it's related with places that I have already had some incredible experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I have now 2 places in mind. One is in Europe, and it's in the northern part of Europe, in Finland, where I have had incredible winter experiences with some friends sharing their house and that. And another one, it's in Quebec, that it's in the lakes of in the Laurentides, that I have had some incredible, unforgettable experiences with the family and friends, enjoying the nature you have. This, it's something that I love nature. So you will not see me on crowded, massive places like on the beach, or it's something that I can go, but it's not a place to dream. So you are asking me about a very special place or a dream place for holidays. I am thinking and reminding some incredible experience I have had, specifically in the Laurentides.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so winter or summer? What do you prefer?
That was summer. Summer. In Quebec, summer.
Yeah. Well, because when you say northern Finland too, it's like, oh, okay, maybe you're a winter person. And the Laurentides and the Laurentians there, it's beautiful in the winter, but summer's
my experience, I'm thinking, in summer.
Yeah, a little warmer. You get to keep a few more of your fingers on.
Yes.
And what's the fastest growing market for Parés Baltà's wine? City, country, or area?
Right now with the pandemic, the markets that we are still growing is Asia.
Oh yeah.
The others, the majority we have decreased, and we have some of them we have decreased a lot, especially because Parés Baltà, our main focus is the gastronomy. And here, especially here in Spain, for instance, Barcelona, Madrid, restaurants, some of them, they have been closed. They are still closed. It's chaotic. And before the pandemic, we were growing in quite many markets, mainly outside of Spain. US, Canada, Europe as well, Northern Europe. We have been growing.
Yeah.
But now it's a difficult situation, and right now in November, it's only, I would say, Asia, the place that we are growing still. Besides the pandemic situation.
Why do you think you're growing there? I know this is a horrible lightning round where I go into in-depth questions, but that's so interesting. Why Asia?
Well, they have been, right now, they suffered the first wave, but the second wave, the second wave of the pandemic that we are suffering with the coronavirus, they have everything quite under control, and situation there is not as bad as we have in Europe or in North America.
So you have more supply and they have more demand, and that just works out for both of you, I guess.
Yes. But we are growing in Asia, but it's a growth, but it's a small market for us. So it's not that we are selling a big amount of our bottles there. But
Right.
of the markets we work, it's the only one that it's growing.
Okay, well, we should cheers to that. And I should tell viewers and listeners what we have here today. So you plugged the Joan Cusiné, this is a 2011, I believe? 2012.
2012,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah. It's a current vintage.
And that's a blend of, that's the Xarel·lo, the Pinot Noir, and Chardonnay, a little bit of Chardonnay in there.
It's, the Xarel·lo is dominating, around 60%, and a little bit of Pinot and Chardonnay coming from the mountains.
Okay. And so that's my first question, actually. Do you start with a still wine? Because we also have what you have in front of you before is a still wine, the Blanc de Pâques. That's 2019, yes. And that's a different blend. That's a Parelleda, Macabeo, and Xarel·lo.
Yes, correct.
So do you start with bubbles or do you start with still?
Usually I would start with bubbles.
Okay.
Usually, but today I would start maybe with the white wine because this white it's very, very refreshing. The grapes this Parellada, Macabeo, Xarel·lo are exactly the same grapes as Cava Brut that you have, our Cava Brut that you have available here in Canada.
So that one is so popular. And this one is at the SAQ as well. This one is $16.45, so just 50 cents less, I believe.
Oh, correct. So this is the same grapes as the Cava Brut. It's almost the same blend, but only with the first fermentation taking place the first fermentation. Mm-hmm. And we harvest the grapes a little bit later, like 2 weeks later. For Cava, we need higher acidity. And
So I had the twist top, which I really appreciate because that's way easier for me to open on a video like this.
You know, here in the winery, we usually, for the domestic, we do a regular cork because Spanish people and Spanish restaurants, they are still not used with a screw cap as you are used in.
Yeah, you don't want to seem like a cheap product, so I guess you're appealing to your market there.
That's
is that part of it? Maybe I should. That was presumptuous of me.
It's not people. They don't have the experience of enjoying. They are just beginning, but not yet to enjoying still wines with a screw cap, like Spanish people.
Okay. So tell me about this. What are we smelling here?
Well, you are smelling the Parellada. It's a quite floral white wine on the dry side. It might that the aromas it can bring you or make you imagine about some sweetness, but you will not find sweetness.
It's 4.7 grams of sugar per liter, I think. So it's not perfectly dry, but because it does have that acidity, you need just a tiny bit of sweetness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the Cava Brut is 4.4 grams per liter. So a lot of people think of Cava or even sparkling wine in general as a little bit sweeter, or the sweetness is masked by the bubbles. And I find it interesting that this actually has a tiny bit more sugar than the Cava Brut.
Cava Brut, and it's part of our philosophy here in Spain. We only do Brut Natures, that it's zero residual sugar, or not added sugar after a second fermentation, and the Brut that you can enjoy in Quebec. So on the Brut side, it can go technically, like legally, we can go up to 12 grams per liter residual, but we are on the dry side of it.
And so hard, actually, I know I keep talking about the Cava when we're drinking the still wine here, but so hard to produce. Well, I don't know if it's hard, but there aren't a lot of sparkling wine producers doing biodynamic. So I find that really interesting. This is also biodynamic because I think the whole winery is biodynamic.
At Parés Baltà, the 100% of our vineyards, they are biodynamic cultivated, and they are Demeter certified, 100%, all of our property.
Is that hard to do on such a massive, like you're a very big winery. Do you buy grapes or do you grow all your own?
Parés Baltà, I mean, I know that it's quite known in Quebec.
Oh, but it's not that big? I think of it as
it's
big.
Not that big.
Okay.
It's not that big. It's not that big at all.
I see your wines everywhere, so.
Thank you, and we are happy in Quebec we are especially well received, and our wines we are very happy of the situation and how our wines, the sales, and how people enjoy our wines in Quebec. But if you visit our area, that's something. Once all the pandemic is over, I need Amy you to receive you here, and also people who listen to us. We are only half-hour drive from Barcelona. You can come even by train. It's 50 minutes by train. And we'd love to share with you the beauty of our area. We are very close to the Mediterranean Sea, only 20 kilometers far from the sea. And our vineyards go up to almost 800 meters elevation.
Okay.
So in the area, Parés Baltà, we are around 300 producers, more or less, a little bit less than 300, 250, 260 of Cava. And we are among, if you split this group in the bigger players, that they are like big guys, probably 100 times bigger than us. Then there is, and this is a group of 4 or 5 wineries. These are the big players. Then there is a group of 10, 15 wineries that they do several millions of bottles. And then there is a group that it's around 200 that from very, very small up to 600, 700.
Okay.
And we are in that group. So we are bigger among the smaller wineries here.
Okay. Do you buy grapes or do you only grow your own?
We have been only growing our own for the last, almost historically. The last 2 years, we have bought some grapes to friends and neighbors that they are working in a same philosophy as we, because we were coming from 2000, not last year, but in 2018 and the years before, 3 years in a row, we had a tremendous no rain. We don't irrigate our vineyards, and the production was decreasing dramatically, like 2 or 3 harvesting half or less from a regular year. That's not sustainable in the long.
And what about this year? How is the COVID year being? Did you get enough workers? Did you manage to produce? Everything's hard, right?
This year, 2020, it's a year to forget. We will keep only the good memories.
I will cheers to that.
Cheers to that. But regarding the harvest, this year, we are in Catalonia. Parés Baltà is in Catalonia. And in Catalonia, we have had a tremendous outbreak of mildew. You know, mildew? Mildew is a fungus that this year we had the better ever conditions for this fungus attack. So it has been old ancient people, they have never seen a year like 2020 with mildew outbreak attack.
So it was very humid and hot, I imagine?
Yeah, in April, May, we had a lot of rain, like continuous rain, like 1 week, 10 days of rain, non-stop. And here it's not normal. It never happens. Like here it rains 1 day and that's all. You can have like 1 or 2 months or even 3 months without any single day extra, more days of rain.
Right.
And this year it was like 7-10 days continuous rain.
Oof.
It stopped 1 or 2 days, and with this stop it became very sunny and very warm, high temperatures, then rain again for 1 or 2 days, then very hot days again, rain again.
So
and these were the perfect condition for mushrooms, mildew, and the average in Penedès, it's around 50% average lower than a normal year. And at Parés Baltà, that we grow organically and biodynamically, without any chemicals in the vineyards, our yields were like down 70-75%. So it's
3/4 of your whole production just gone.
Yeah.
Because what kind of organic pesticides and organic fertilizers can you use legally?
Well, we at Parés Baltà we use mainly the manure from the sheep, that we have sheep that during the year, so from November till March, they visit the vineyards, eating the grass and fertilizing. And the place where they sleep, we have the manure that later the compost that we bring into the vineyards. That's for fertilizer. For pesticides, we don't use anything. Like anything coming from chemicals. With biodynamics, this year, for instance, we have been using a lot, it's named horsetail, cou de cheval. It's a kind of, it's a plant, like a medicinal plant that we pick it when it's green, we dry it, and when we need, we do like a tea of it. And this is a natural antifungic preparation that we use, and we have been using this year like never before.
Yeah, I'm sure. People think of biodynamic, and if they know a little bit about it, they get scared. If they know nothing about it, they don't know about all these things. But there are a lot of teas that you can create, and different planting times, and your schedule is a little bit different. What are kind of some of the more interesting parts of your production in terms of biodynamics?
Well, biodynamics, it's an amazing way of working, and you have to first to learn and little bit have to be open-minded on that. Some of the biodynamic techniques that it's like, for instance, taking in care of the rhythm of the cosmos and the closer planets into life and into our vineyards. These are methods of working that they were used by our ancestors. Like my grandfather, I remember him that when he had to plant garlic or to do the grafting in the vineyards, he was always looking to the moon, and depending on the moon position, there were some activities to do or not to do, or like to postpone activities if it was not the right period. If you visit, we need biodiversity. So biodynamic vineyards, you will see grass on them. That's not. There are some organic vineyards that it's not a must to have grass on the vineyards. With biodynamics, there is grass as well. Then there is also working with a very high quality compost preparations. Take medicinal plants to give energy to the soil, or to take care or give energy to the plants, like or to protect the plants, like this horse tail that I was mentioning. That is dandelion. That's another thing that we use. There are several plants to be used for some specific applications.
Things that people think of as weeds, but can be really beneficial when you're creating this healthy ecosystem.
With biodynamics, there are no weeds.
Right.
If there is any plant on the vineyards, there is a reason for that. And this is really a quite interesting thing about speaking about the weeds. They have their own functions, and plants, for instance, like nettle, they appear in specific periods where there is chaos or in the soil, and they are incredible useful. So it's a fascinating thing if you go deep.
Yeah,
People
and
that
delicious.
Maybe
nettle is delicious, but very spiky. Not
very
fun
spiky.
to pick.
No,
I feel bad for your
all.
pickers, but I feel good for your wine.
Yeah. That's Amy, I agree.
So I talked a little. I just mentioned the nettle in terms of what's growing there. I know you have a lot of different microclimates. You said that you go from sea level to about 800 meters, and you have different soils. What is the soil in this wine before we move on to the sparkling?
In this wine, there are two types of soil participating. There are 3 grapes that it's parellada. Parellada comes from the upper part, I would say 500 meters and above. And it's a grape that brings more the aromas and the fruit, and that's on clay soil, clay.
Okay.
Where I'm right now, Parés Baltà, the winery, it's 220, 230 meters elevation, and this is calc soil.
Yeah.
And that's where we cultivate calcareous soil. It's where we cultivate the Xarel·lo and the Macabeo.
Okay.
So the Parellada is coming from clay, Xarel·lo Macabeo from calc soil.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, and so the Parellada is the 47%, so there's more of that in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally feel like I taste more of the calcaire of the calc.
The calcaire?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But maybe I just don't know what the clay tastes like. I don't know much about tasting. That's why you're here.
At Parés Baltà, we do another wine that it's also available in Quebec and in some other markets, that it's the Calcari, that it's a white wine, 100% Xarel·lo. And the name of the wine comes after the soil, calc soil, calcari. That's in Catalan, the name for that.
Yeah. And I don't even know the translation in English of calcar.
It's like a limestone.
Limestone. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So we started with the still. Now let's try this aged Cava. So you're really known as a Cava producer, I think.
Yeah.
And you do make still, and you even make red wines. You sent me a very lovely red wine too. That I don't know if we'll have time to taste, but I just wanted to mention the Mas Helena.
The Mas Helena.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I didn't know that you produced a lot of that, but you produce Merlot and which other red grapes?
We produce a lot Grenache, some Merlot. The Mas Helena, it's a blend of Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Cabernet Franc. That these are vines that they were planted by my grandfather. You know, here in Penedès, where we are now, there is a moment that we are cultivating vineyards for several thousand years ago. That we are cultivating vineyards here. There is something that changed the landscape here, that's the phylloxera.
Right.
Phylloxera?
Yeah.
Before phylloxera, there were quite a lot of red grapes here grown. And after phylloxera, because of price of white grapes, it was higher. The farmers, when they had to start again from scratch, they planted a lot of white grapes.
Huh.
And that's, we are speaking around 150, 120 years ago.
Okay. And that's when Cava production became a big thing. Okay. So we're both going to pop it here?
Yeah.
Oh boy. This is pressure. There we go. I think that's the third bottle of sparkling wine I've popped live on camera before. And so far, so good. But you're the pro. I screamed a little. You didn't.
No. That's, sometimes to do some fun. I love doing a sablage with a sword or with a sharp knife. Mm-hmm, it's a very good experience. So
wait, I have one quick question for you. I'm sorry.
Please.
Do I use a flute or do I use a more traditional glass? Because my flute does not come in after... I don't know what the best is.
I would suggest let's do it with a bigger one.
Okay. So you can smell? Is that the idea?
Yes. Okay. Yes. That's, I just clean the glass. And especially Cavas like this one, that this has been almost 8 years with the lees. So it's a Cava. If you look to the color,
golden.
It's quite golden.
Yeah.
It's, this is two reasons for that. One, it's the aging as well, 2012. The other is the winemaking. At Parés Baltà, we don't use any, in the winemaking techniques that we use, we don't do anything to remove color, to just press grapes with the first fermentation followed by a second fermentation in the bottle.
These are beautiful little bubbles, by the way. Can you tell the quality of a sparkling wine based on the bubbles in any way, or is that... not true?
Well, that's one parameter that you can take in, that you can measure or you can consider, but it's not the only parameter. I mean, Cavas or champagnes with that they have been long time aging. The CO2, the bubbles, they get the CO2 gas gets more and more diluted, integrated into the wine, and that's why the bubbles are so small. The older the wine, the bubbles get smaller.
This is so beautiful. I don't think you've even gotten to take a sip yet. I was very rude and started without you. But this is so, it feels very soft in my mouth. I don't know if that's the flavor, and then it kind of like coats the mouth a little bit. But it's not abrasive or harsh. Like the bubbles don't attack. Is that from the aging?
It's that from the aging, the winemaking. And you have to take in mind that you are tasting, this is Brut Nature. If you check in the back label, we mentioned, I believe also the one you get.
Yeah, Brut Nature.
It's Brut Nature.
Yeah.
This means zero dosage. So
no sugar added for the second fermentation, yes?
After the second fermentation is over, no sugar added. Okay. Just degorge, and if there is some Cava, some liquid missing, we refill with another bottle, like with a sister bottle.
Right, of the same year, which is why you don't often get a year on a bottle of sparkling wine. Like if you see champagne, for example, it'll be like a millésime. It'll be a specific year if it's all from a specific year, but often it's a blend from different years. So this is all from 2012, yes?
This is all from 2012, okay. Yes.
And
also the regular Cava that you have from Parés Baltà, we done the Cava Brut. The vintage is not mentioned on the label, but usually it's always one single vintage.
But will it be a blend? Not a blend of that year, though.
A blend of that year, but from the same vintage.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. Because this is the mix of Xarel-lo, Macabeo, and Parés. Oh, is that it? Which one am I looking at here? Xarel-lo, Pinot Noir, and Chardonnay. Sorry.
Yes.
Right.
Here, this is a very special Cava that is named after my youngest sister. Her name is Blanca.
Ah, okay. So it's not white. It doesn't have to do with the color. It's your youngest sister. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
And she.
And here at Parés Baltà, this is something I mentioned before, but at Parés Baltà, winemakers are ladies. It's my wife and my brother's wife, Marta and Elena. And we decided a long time ago, my brother and me, to dedicate wine or Cava to all ladies from the family. Like we have another Cava named Joan Cusiné that is named after my grandmother, that this July she became 100 years old.
Oh, congratulations to her. Wow.
Thank you. It's very special. And Blanca would be the youngest lady from the family. But you showed here a bottle of Maselena. That red wine that you showed to me, that's named after my wife, Elena, it's her name. We have another wine named Marta de Balta, that in the past we had available at the S2E25 signature. We have Cuvée de Carol, that's named after my mom, Mas Irene. So all ladies, they have a wine named after them. But we have more wines than ladies. So that's why we have some wines not named after the
Well, then
ladies.
You need more ladies. That's the problem. Easy answer. What I find amazing here is this bottle of, if this were a champagne, for example, if this were being made in the Champagne region, and it was a millésime, I can't even pronounce it. If it were a specific year of production, if it were the 2012 production of a specific champagne, this would not sell for $36.25. And you're not paying me to say this, so I can say this very honestly. This could be worth a lot more. Why is it priced so affordably? And the same goes for your Cava Brut, actually.
Well, it's we try to be the most honest, and we cultivate the vineyards. We are farmers, and of course we need as well to have some profit. But if you the quality you get for our wines for the price you pay, it's far above the difference. And
but
with
I don't
Blanca
understand
Cusiné,
how.
Blanca Cusiné, if you do blind tastings this Christmas, you buy some millésime champagnes, you have to do it 100% blind, like with a bottle cover that nobody knows. If not, it's not working, because
like the California
our
Pinot
mind
test. Yeah.
yes, our mind works, and you see a bottle of champagne in the tasting, and without your brain say, that would be tasting better. No?
But do you think the price is going to go up? Because if you're only selling 25% of what you normally produce, this is a very difficult year for marketing, obviously, and you're keeping those prices so low. I mean, I just, in terms of the business model, I'm thinking, like, how do you make a profit at this? Maybe that's too prying a question.
This year, 2020, it will be a year that we will be in a bad year for business, no profit. We will be losing a lot of money, but hopefully it's only this year, and we are optimistic for the future.
Yeah. And you didn't want to up the prices? You weren't thinking, okay, we'll just make it a little more expensive?
Yeah, well, it's and also there are. I mean, even if we would like to increase prices, here, for instance, it's not easy and not accepted by consumers, and especially by buyers as well. Also, if I say our Cava Brut at the SQ, we need to sell it $2 more. Now we are selling just below 17, let's say at 19. It's not accepted even by the buyers from one. And so, well, it's something that we have to be, how to say that, to keep our cost structure very small, but without decreasing quality at all.
Right.
The opposite.
Yeah.
We have to deliver always the best we can, and make that people have a very good experience enjoying our wines.
I feel very appreciative as a Quebecer, and I appreciate the SRQ's work in that sense, because it's benefiting the consumer. But I feel sorry for you, and I would definitely pay a few extra dollars for your wines. And so I hope that people still get to celebrate this year with a bottle of Cava. For people who don't know the difference between Cava and sparkling wine, like a crema or something like that, or something, a sparkling wine even made in North America, and a champagne or a prosecco. What do you think Cava has above those? Why should people buy a Cava?
The Cava, it's the origin of the grapes that we use. That it's not a Chardonnay, it's not Pinot Noir as a main player. It's we work mainly with Xarelos, with some Macabeos, Parelladas. These are the main players, and it's born here and raised in the Mediterranean, where we have an incredible friendly climate. You have to understand that most of the time, except April this year, that we had a lot of rain. And that helps a lot. The grapes that we have, the microclimas, the soils. It's the area where I live. I have to tell you. I mean, we cannot complain at all. We are to the ocean, to the Mediterranean. We are like 15 minutes, 20 minutes drive. If I need to go to the ski in winter, we have the Penedès from 2 hours drive up to 3 hours. We have very nice ski resorts, and the area where we have as well, in a short distance, 10 minutes drive, 15 minutes drive, we go up to, we have natural parks. The countryside is very nice. So we have we are like a small continent in our area, and that's what this diversity of soils, diversity of climates, and grapes as well that we have, it's a little bit what gives us our uniqueness. So
what is the soil in this one?
This is clay.
This is full clay.
This is clay. Okay. This is full clay.
Okay. And my other important question is, do you take stagiaires? Do you take interns? Because it sounds like you need more women to name wines after.
But they are family members.
Do you
the
have
ones that we are.
single relatives? No, I'm sorry, just kidding.
Yeah. So far, only to the family members and maybe some upcoming family members.
Okay.
I have 2 daughters, but my brother, he has 2 boys, but still they are young. So we will see. We have to be patient.
Are they
no rush?
They like wine though? Are they interested in potentially joining the family business?
Not in the short term, but in future we will see. I am very happy of in my case, my 2 daughters. One is 18, Irene, that she's studying mathematics. The other is Blanca, the one that we are drinking now, the wine that is named after her. She's studying business and law. And my 2 nephews, they are younger. They are still at the high school, so they still have some time. But wine has been in their childhood. My kids, we have many of our holidays, they have been related with wine. We have visited many wineries around the world, and they are also helping when they have some time here in the winery. So it's I don't want them to come right now. I want them to learn about life, to enjoy life, also to learn about to work outside, how things happen, and all the effort. I want our family members, if they decide to join us, they need to work outside, to see other ways of working, other ways of thinking,
and
to be very open-minded
afterwards. Yeah. What do you think the future? Well, the near future of sparkling wine. So we're talking about upcoming Temps des Fêtes, the holiday season, and New Year's, and those are important times for sparkling wine most of the time, especially for your cava. Like I have had lots of New Year's celebrations where we've popped bubbly and it's been Parés Baltà.
Thank you.
What's going to happen this year? What do you think the trend is going to be for sparkling wine?
The trend about cava and sparkling sales, when the pandemic was starting, the sales were like slowing down, because usually bubbles are related with festivity, with happiness, and we were not happy, and we are still not happy. But now things are a little bit more back to normal. We are getting used a little bit to the COVID and to manage, and I see that people will continue to enjoying bubbles, nice, like Parés Baltà sales. I think that they will be nice for Cava this Christmas, more or less around the world, because we are not able to celebrate Christmas with big parties like we are used to do, but in a more intimate way. We will still make it, even if you are with only with your couple or with your kids. We have to celebrate and to be thankful for being alive, and to the small things that sometimes we don't give value.
Yeah, I think it really is the small things. I like to celebrate the tiny things, which brings me back to my lightning round question about the weirdest food you've ever drank cava with. Have you thought of something?
And no, I was so deep in the conversation that I was not thinking about it.
Well, that's good. Here, I'll give you a little bit of a warm up to that question. What do you think a good pairing is for chanterelle mushrooms? Do you think that cava works with chanterelle?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I was wondering about that. And which particular one would you pair with chanterelle sautéed in olive oil?
I would go for the cava brut. Maybe Blanca as well, but I would enjoy Blanca more with maybe with a Christmas, a little bit more rich meal.
Even with meat, so cava can go with something like a rich.
Absolutely, with meat. Now it comes to my mind a winter specialty that I enjoyed in Chicoutimi, that it's the tartier or tourtière.
Tourtière,
tourtière.
Yeah. So our meat pie in Quebec.
And usually you'd be enjoying
a red wine.
A red wine, and powerful Magdalena could be one. But if I was supposed to enjoy a dish like that in close to Christmas, I think Blanca Cusiné Cava would be a very fantastic pairing.
I think so too, and I think that would be. I think this Christmas there's even more of a reason to drink Cava, because you need to celebrate the little things that you can celebrate.
We have to. Yeah.
And with online webinars and with conversations in wineries, a whole sea apart from us, it's a very different world that we're living in right now. So I really appreciate your time with me this
My
day.
pleasure, Amy. And please, once this is getting more back to normal and we are able to travel again, pay me a visit. We love to receive people. And here, if you arrive to Parés Baltà and you mention that you are from Quebec, there is special feelings, because even right now we have a lady working in the winery.
Who did she marry?
Her name is Florence, and she is from Quebec, and she arrived just 2 weeks before the pandemic. Can you imagine?
Wow.
And well, we are very happy to have her here, but well, so we love to receive people. And now we have not been receiving anyone for many weeks. This summer, when the lockdown was released, we were receiving a lot of people from Catalonia, and especially during weekends, we were totally crowded. But now with the second lockdown that we have, it's like people is not allowed to travel during the weekends. I don't know how to say that in English, or that at 10 o'clock everybody has to be at home.
Curfew.
Yeah, exactly. So we have that. It's enforced. And the authorities, they don't want people as well during weekends to travel or to move. They have to stay at their town. And you cannot travel. You can be fined by the police. And this is that, we are totally... The winery, it's totally quiet during week and weekend. So we are working, but no almost no visitors.
Well, I hope things pick up and you have many more reasons to drink beautiful wine.
Yes. And wine, it's connecting people, and related with what you said, Amy, about enjoying and appreciating small things. Let's be positive.
Yeah, and cheers to that.
Cheers. Thank you, Amy.
Thanks for listening to the 5 à 7 podcast. If you weren't watching the video version of the podcast, but you want to see all of those bottles of wine, check out the iTunes or YouTube versions of the podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version on Google Podcasts, you can follow us on Spotify, and you can find us on Stitcher. You can also stream any episode on my blog, multiculturosity.com, where you'll also find some interesting recipes for maybe Cava food pairings. And for all the places that Joan and I mentioned, which weren't that many in this episode, you can check out the show notes wherever you got this podcast. Hope you enjoyed the views if you watched it and are eager to get to Spain as much as I am. For now, buy some Cava. No, they didn't pay me to say that, but it's never a bad idea. And sip something delicious, alcoholic or not, wherever you are.